It's a potential, like maybe the Solarize campaign could be one. I'm actually talking to them on Friday, not just their mayor, but, and I'm just gonna kind of go over it with them. So maybe there's a potential that if there's some that you wanna do and they wanna do, they might coordinate. I think some of the easier ones are a little bit more specific, 'cause it's like you have to pass a resolution, you know, things like that that can't be shared, but.
I was thinking if we share the cost of a charging station.
That's one, that's a strong potential, actually. I'll have to check with, with NYSERDA and just see if that one's applicable, if you share, cause I can't imagine there's other town villages that haven't thought of that. So I'll kind of see if that's a potential possibility. So yeah, just
Either that or
stay in
Darren's
touch.
getting a solar powered dump truck. Try it.
So for
Yeah.
us, can you
With all the
just,
cloudy days, it's not gonna be on the road too
the
much.
first step is appointing somebody to
It's
be
as
the
long
contact
as it
them.
runs, I'm kidding.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah,
work
I would say, you know, for most of the towns I've been working with, they haven't made it a formal thing, cause it just ended up being a supervisor, but if you feel like, you know, maybe it's something you'd rather be the lead on,
Supervisor would do it.
so, you know, if you wanna make it a more formal thing, it's up to you, but if not, you know, I can just continue to just send information, and like I said, you know, I've been pretty much doing the majority of this for the towns I've been working with, so it's not a huge commitment, it's just
So if
saying
we-
that you wanna do it.
If we provided you with the bills, you would do all the input?
Yep. Yep, the students funded me to do that, so, which is fine actually, cause it's, you know, it's not super complicated, but you know, it's something that most towns don't have to do, so I think they recognize that and realize that if they're gonna get towns to do this, then they gotta, you know, find a way to help,
Make it
so.
easy. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
I'll be in touch.
Awesome, thank you.
Moving on to committee reports, highway machinery. There is a correction on the date on
Yeah,
Darren's report there, but
also took care of it.
Changed that one.
Oh, you didn't get theirs?
No. They would get down minutes.
I see you did make the meeting for the winter storm.
Yep, yeah, everything's in for that. Actually called and confirmed it with them today too, cause I don't trust faxes sometimes, so. Everything's there.
First batch of chips expenses are turned in.
Yep, that's in there.
So. Anything else?
For that, being a reimbursement, we met the timelines on that? Or-
For that winter storm?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I know it was time sensitive, it had to happen within the next first 48 hours of the
Yes.
event.
Yep, we did.
I know the village is scrambling
Alright,
on that.
yep, nope, we're all good on that.
Well, we'd kind of done a preliminary set of numbers just to see if it was gonna get classified.
Yep.
So we had a pretty good start on it.
The village got slow because of the Clark cleanup on Main
Oh.
Street. That was
Yeah.
2 days later and it didn't hit the timetable, that's why.
I've got a question, it's just, I don't mean to put you on the spot there, and just, can you remind me where we are in our 5-year plan? The, you know, like we're rotating all the roadworks, or are we in like year 2 or 3, or is it still a 5-year plan?
Well, second full year, we got a start on it, first year, but as far as that 5-year plan goes, it's probably, we're on the second full year of it.
Like we're completing
This will be, yeah,
the, okay.
The only thing that helps is we got Hampton Hill paved because of the power authority, so that takes one road off of
yeah, that'll move a few up here, moving
the,
gears
a
and
little
all
earlier
that.
in the next couple of years.
Definitely, yeah,
So,
considerable help.
So it still feels like a 5-year plan?
Close. There's some that aren't gonna fit into TIPS money, so we're gonna have to find a way to take that out of the highway budget in order to rotate them in a 5-year, but eventually we'll get caught up on that. TIPS is on a 5-year rotation now. Some of them though are still on a 10-year. that we're stuck with until they get to that point.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Darren?
summer with the village, that's all done now. And Pee Wee football started in 2 weeks, Little League is finished too, right?
Yep.
That's it for health and youth.
Economic development, shared services.
Nothing new right at the moment.
I think we've got, I was out of town, but did we buy more tents for, the only thing I'm gonna say is that the Harvest Festival is coming, right?
Oh, you mean the chamber?
The chamber.
Oh, yeah,
It's the September 23rd, I think, is the Harvest. So what I was gonna ask about was, I think the farmer's market's growing, which
oh, the
is,
farmer's market is definitely growing to the point where the person that runs that for us came to the chamber, doesn't run it for the town, but the Delhi Chamber, and requested that we purchase more tents. And if you ever go there on Wednesday, you'll see they're starting to go down the center aisle now, so, and they're way down to the post office, and so it's really turned into a real nice farmer's market, and it's very well attended. So it's nice to see that growing, and I know the chamber did, decide to purchase more tents, just trying to figure out where they got the last push from, so. Yeah, that's a good report for that.
Recreation, Al.
At this point, I did check out the playground today, things, there could be some work done down there, hopefully when the students, get back, but, other than that, so far, everything looks good down at the playground. The,
The
pool
rules and the
situation,
gate still there?
the gates are both still there.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, all 3 gates are there
Yeah.
at the moment, and the fence is all standing. Nobody's decided to take our new rules down, so that's
No.
all good. There were kids down there enjoying it today. The pool is, hopefully on its final approval with the state health department, and, we hope to hear back from them very soon, I hope. So, right now, we're just waiting on the state department to come back on the final changes they requested, so hopefully that'll happen, this week, or next week, but other than that, everything else is the same.
did the addition of the porta potty cause any trouble, or? make
No,
people
the
happy?
porta potty is being paid for by the village, they took care of the cost on that this year, and, you know, that's really all there is to talk about there.
Mhm.
There's other things to say about it, but I'm not going to.
Don't go there.
Moving right along. Personnel. anything?
Personnel, we've already dealt with new business.
Okay. Building.
Building, the, NYMAR inspector was here this afternoon that you went through with.
Yep.
And you're the one who knows what he did.
He don't say anything, he
Okay.
just takes a lot of pictures and.
Okay. Hopefully it was clean for him.
We'll be notified by mail.
We'll get a report.
Yeah, there'll be a whole list,
There'll
I'm
be
sure.
I made sure last year's checks were all taken care of, but
We did do a preemptive strike to make
yes,
sure
we
that
did.
we
Yes, we
cleared
did.
all the combustibles away from the boilers, and
Yes, it was beautiful.
every once in a while the cleaners or the highway guys, throw them out in the bucket up against the boiler because it's the middle of the summer and it's not running.
I did have to replace the doorknob in the courtroom from the break room. Somebody felt they needed to push that button in all the way through the door. And also the door to the fuel has been repaired too.
Okay, good. All right, IT, anything, Matt?
The only thing is that the court had their documents digitized, so that's 28 boxes of paper now on a hard drive.
But we still have to save the
Yes.
28 boxes of paper.
Yeah.
At least we can move it over to the.
It goes to the
records
village
room.
records, yeah.
Okay, good. Code enforcement.
Nothing really new with Dale. He's been working at the rehab center quite a long time. They're getting ready to open. There's a few hurdles that they've encountered recently. And they really haven't given a final date for opening, but, last week I know they were paving the entryways and so forth and the approaches, so
Yeah,
that's always a good sign. The construction stuff starts moving out and they finish paving.
it's getting real close. unfortunately, the contractor that the owner hired to do some of the low voltage wiring kinda
Messed up,
did some not good stuff.
that's all I'll say, I wasn't even gonna bring that up
So Dale was down there yesterday, I think he had a meeting
today.
today, that's right, he's going down today. Try to get that all resolved, but, it should be opening relatively soon, which will be good. And I think, from what I'm hearing, they're gonna start up maybe with 50 residents and kinda get their feet wet and get things checked out and start working towards filling out.
Do we know how many beds they have in the rehab section of it?
174 total.
How many are in the rehab?
Oh, and the rehab, I'm not certain about the rehab, but there's
Sure.
174 total.
I used to know, I probably got it somewhere.
Was it 30? Is that too many? Was it 30?
Yeah, it seems like it was in the 30s.
That sticks to my head for some reason. Okay.
Alright. Moving on, is there a motion to accept the code's monthly report?
So move.
Second.
Second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Justice Court report. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Clerk's monthly report. I lose that already, so. You watched me put stuff in order, and you screwed it up already. There it is, stuck in the middle of that.
I'll make a motion to accept the clerk's report.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Supervisor's financial report. Another thing Maggie and I were looking at, we wanna check is the one line in the court is kinda overspent, but we think that was some, of the digitizing.
They had grant money that may not have been
Yeah.
part of that line item.
Yeah, it's, well, they were supposed to be kept track in a separate line, so we don't know whether it got miscoded or we're gonna check into that, but,
We did make an expense last month toward that too, I
yeah,
remember.
so. There is money to cover it, but we just gotta make sure it gets into the right line. Other than that, is there a motion to accept the July supervisor's report?
So move.
And if you wanna second it,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
County report. I guess, what does anybody wanna know, and I'll try to answer it.
One question that did come up to me was in regards to the amount that we're paying the psychologist to run mental health. Just curious, as a part-time job, they wondered why they're being paid over $250,000 for a part-time job. And so that's been stirring up a little bit of interest among some people.
Yeah, that's been an interest of finance and other departments too, and unfortunately, the credentials that we need, and finding somebody who's willing to do it in this area is extremely difficult. But they're looking at possibly when we get the 3 mental health facilities in one building, we might be able to hire a multi-purpose person that can handle that along with some other stuff. But that is being seriously scrutinized right at the moment, because it is a huge, huge expense.
Yeah, I believe it's more than what an average person is paid in New York City to do that job on a full-time basis, so. I don't know, and I don't know what the part-time is it how many days a week that is, or how, if it's an hourly thing, or what, but it just
Yeah.
seems,
It kind of varies, it's kind of as needed.
Been in school part-time?
one of those, you gotta have, the state tells you what you have to have
Oh,
for a
I
degree.
understand that.
Those people somehow don't wanna come and stay in Delhi, so it makes it difficult.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is an ongoing question that's gonna be coming up again here shortly in budget season.
I do wanna say that the meeting at DA concerning the DPW is, I've heard a lot of good things about that meeting. So thank you for putting that together. It was
Yep, everybody-
somewhat well attended. I would've liked to have them up in the rafters, but
We had a good crowd.
Yeah, I thought it was, over 200 was a pretty good turnout. It was.
and I
way
wanna
more than
say
I
that,
thought.
that everyone was very well behaved.
Yep.
And, I have hats off to everyone who made comments, and the audience was very well behaved, and I just wanted that to be noted.
Yep, and even Sam Rowe and Wayne Reynolds at the county meeting wanted to thank the town for putting it on, and they were very impressed with how well everything ran, and how everybody behaved. And I'm still pushing them to get the
Yeah, I
answers to
was
the
gonna
questions,
say,
because they
that's-
still have not posted any
Okay.
answers on their website.
That was supposed to be done on the Monday following, if I,
No, that was their presentation was put on.
but the questions that were not asked, that were on the cards, were supposed to be put on
Yeah,
that
they didn't, they,
presentation also.
well, they're supposed to be put on the same website.
Okay.
They didn't really set a definite date, but they're dragging their feet.
Maybe
So,
with
I know
tonight's
people
meeting,
have-
it'll be double
It's
double up.
been brought up a couple times, and it'll get brought up again here shortly, but.
People I've talked to said they all appreciated the way the meeting went, but you and the rest of the board of supervisors should know that everybody's watching to see what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun. We'll probably even have Bob Cairns there to watch.
Is there any consideration given by the highway department to have a smaller facility? As far as you know?
I don't know, they're not exactly talking to me at the moment.
Well, it would be nice, if the supervisors would try to change the way this whole process is being done
Yeah.
and turn this over to the capital projects
The
committee.
way it's supposed to
The
be.
way it should have been done. in the
Should've been done
beginning.
from the very beginning.
And that way, instead of having the fox running the hen house, which is what's going on right now, you would have a party that is not necessarily working at the county highway department.
Unbiased opinion.
Yeah, and really come up with what they actually need for a structure and so on.
'Cause
And also
what I'm hearing
hiring
is they
people
don't have
that
any
know how to
study
work
to
in the fire,
justify
or
the
work
size
in the
of the
watershed.
building.
That's the other issue. We have to spend additional money now because the people don't know anything about building in a watershed,
Mhm.
which was,
Yeah, I thought.
Another
Tom
major
Hines did a
mistake.
nice job of pointing that out.
Yeah, he did.
Nicely.
he did
Mm.
very nicely.
I was going to point it out, but it
Yeah, I was
wasn't gonna
waiting
be
for
pointed
you to
so nicely.
something.
I thought that was pretty
So
sad.
eloquently, yeah.
But Tom made the point, and I could let it go with that, but.
Yeah,
No, we got finances meeting tomorrow, and I've got a meeting with, the chairman tomorrow too. We've gotta change the way this is going, because it's not working.
well, it's not working and it's not going anywhere,
No,
and,
we're spinning our wheels, and
Never will work.
I don't think anybody is changing their mind, we're just, pointing fingers at the other side, and
right, I think Tina, it's time for her to step up and be the chairman of the board. And he's happy.
we gotta take some action and move this thing forward.
I have a question about, and we've talked about it before, so the reporter had an article with the Middletown supervisor saying it's crazy to put it back where it is in Delhi, and we have talked about this before, and we think it's possible and feasible. And a big point that he made in the article was calling it the critical
The critical
structure.
facility.
Critical facility. So do we,
I talked to one of our federal reps this week, and FEMA does not classify a highway garage as a critical facility.
I did give that to Chairman Molay
And,
very long ago.
Well, this
been brought up before.
Yeah, we gave them the executive order.
I
that they
gave
were
the executive
quoting,
order about
or
FEMA,
misquoting,
correct.
and
they
this
just
person
continue
said,
to do it.
as far as funding from FEMA, because Pat Davis kinda gave the impression that we could walk away with a free building.
So,
They said, if your facility had just been destroyed in a flood and you wanted to rebuild,
that's the only way to get a nickel.
you know, that's where you would get the money, but,
You'll get no funding.
and they said you can build in the floodplain, you just elevate above the 500-year flood for your floor elevation, and they're more than happy with that.
And that was presented by the mayor and myself to the board,
Yep. Dale
With
and
those
I
same-
were there. It's,
those same numbers.
yeah. We've showed them numbers, we've
Show 'em
offered
elevation,
several
show
different
everything.
solutions where they could move things.
Without affecting the area in the positive at all.
I was sitting in the parking lot behind elections today, if you look from that parking lot, you wouldn't be filling in any floodplain, because that parking lot is already about the same height as the corner down on Bridge and Main. But, it's about 7 feet higher than the door that goes into the shop.
So our position remains the same, and we're crazy, because we think it's.
Yeah, we're crazy.
We're crazy, yeah.
I'm crazy.
We had a
I resemble
supervisor,
that.
we had a supervisor pounding the table saying, you can't build in the floodplain, and Wendell Engineering stood there and said, the meeting before, that you could. They could do it, they could design it, but it would be expensive. At which point I asked, more expensive than a bridge, and I didn't get an answer, so.
And so right now, there's a meeting in Hammond, where you saw the same.
Tonight.
Hampton's got a meeting tonight because of
The Delancy.
site number, was it number 1 or number 2 on the Wendell list?
Yeah,
It
The
was
McNee
number-
farm,
big need for it.
number
which got everybody in
3.
Delancey fired up.
And they did ask for it to be for Hamden residents because of their limited.
Yeah, they're limited to, I think it's
Space.
60 residents in that.
Yeah, 60 or 65.
Wayne blamed it on me because I posted the occupancy way back years ago, so whatever it is.
Well, he
So
may
you made
end
him
up-
happy now.
He may end up with more than that. I don't
Yeah,
know,
he-
but,
They may be sitting out in the parking lot, but
yeah.
They
I'm
might
sure
have a
I'll hear about
speaker.
that tomorrow, but
They have a little microphone speaker.
I don't know. I'm getting different stories from different sides on what they're looking at, what they're not looking at. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it's comical for them to hear this now, but whatever they're building, it should also house the municipality where they're at. So if they're gonna build here, it should have enough space for.
Well, now
our stuff
that was
too.
the last meeting, you were there, Sam
Yeah.
brought up something, maybe doing something with the village and the town, and I'm like, that's the first I've heard that.
Never said a word before that.
I would just take free
Cause
salt.
the mayor had
to make
asked,
me happy.
yeah, the mayor had asked for a couple days for the village and got turned down, so I don't know what their.
When the
proposal is.
expansion first came on, the mayor had asked to possibly put on 2 days from that, to house that, so that we can get our DPW garage out of the floodplain, which is a lot lower than up there on Page Avenue. But that didn't go over so well. He's also gone up to the state and looked down from one of their,
Wayne Reynolds
Pole
and the
barns.
committee apparently had asked for a meeting with the
No.
mayor and the deputy mayor, and the mayor invited me to come along, and then the meeting disappeared. So it hasn't been rescheduled yet.
Well, even if they go to Delancey or Hammond, whatever, they should be looking for the same thing, wherever they end up, it should be, shared services should be at the top of this thing.
Well, that was the meeting before the meeting.
Yeah,
was,
which
you know, ideas for the-
unfortunately, that meeting turned into
That turned into
another,
a fiasco.
Sam decided it was his time to talk a lot
Do
about
another
the highway
DPW
building, which had nothing
presentation.
to do with
And
the
unfunded
shared
mandates.
services. Yeah, and it was just, it was supposed to be a meeting where the public had a chance to say something about shared services, and it turned into sitting there listening to 2 supervisors go on about something that had nothing to do with shared services. And they should have been cut off, Sam should have been cut off, he went on too long, but, again, that's the
Again.
chairman's job.
drop the gavel.
So, anywho,
But, and also I would just, again, point out that there's still a lot of upset going on as far as the Office of the Aging situation, so county should be aware of that too, that whole process that we went through, taking that retail out of the middle of Main Street was not well accepted by a lot of people. And I think if they felt it's being overshadowed by the DPW situation, but there's as much anger out there in regards to that, as there is over the DPW situation.
I wouldn't say as much,
Well,
there's
Quite a
quite a lot.
bit, there's quite a bit.
It's
I
pretty
think
close.
DPW
The
has
only-
still got way more.
Well, the only reason that you're not hearing about it is a lot of people think that there's nothing they can do. And in reality, there still is, because the purchase really hasn't
Hasn't
happened.
happened.
So if they wanted to do something about that, they could.
The renovation has.
Well, you know,
Personally.
just saying, that was not a good, that was,
No.
that was not a good decision on the part of, well, anyway.
It wasn't financially smart.
I had a question about that. Well, last month, there was some concern about the siting of that DPW relocation being around the Elk Creek Road area. Is that site basically dead now, or?
As far as I'm concerned, it's dead.
Yeah,
Well, not as far as they're
it
concerned.
should be, but, the siting study that the county DPW and planning did had that site far and above the best site. It was just twice as good as any place else. When the uproar started, they finally kind of backed off and they hired Wendell Engineering. Wendell came in, did a new siting criteria, new weighting,
New scoring,
scoring,
weighted scoring.
but from the supervisors, and I can tell you who every one of them was, even though they're just assigned a number, because the way they voted for what was important and what wasn't.
Okay.
And when they got all done, they had 3 top sites. Delhi was down to number 3. And their engineer stood there, made a big production about they were the experts and blah, blah, blah. And then he started to make excuses why number 1 and number 2 were probably gonna fall off the list.
Good.
At which point I pointed out that his numbers for number 4 should have made number 4 probably a lot higher.
Right.
And they didn't really answer, and we got into a little slapping. And finally, the chairman said, well, if we're gonna look at site number 4 too, then I need a motion, and I made the motion, and it passed 15 to 4. To put site number 4 back on the list. Now, I'm getting differing opinions on whether that made any difference or not, but like I said, we need to do something, because it's turning into a war. And everybody said it wasn't gonna be personal, but it's getting personal now, so we need to come up with a plan on how we're gonna move forward, and somebody's gotta be in charge.
So basically, the battle lines of this war is county versus town of Delhi or something?
No, it's
No.
county,
They wanted it
county,
in Delhi.
county versus county at this point. It's a pretty,
Well, the taxpayers of the county, no matter where you live, are gonna have to pay for this. And they've been paying for this all along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the committee, the highway committee just doesn't seem to be in touch with the taxpayers, because I'm hearing from taxpayers in all their areas that think 23 or 29 million or whatever it is this week is too much. So,
But, and the argument gets twisted a lot. If you're against this building, it means you don't think they deserve a new building. And that's not.
That's
No,
never
that's
been
not the
no.
case at all.
and we've made that point over and over, that we understand their building is bad, they need to do something, but they could do something there that was reasonable, and it would be quicker. Because,
The
That other site
the
is
approvals
gonna
would be
take
less
forever.
timely.
Yeah, they're already there.
And every other alternative site
They'd
is
have to
going
deal
to
with
have the
alphabet
same
soup, and it would
protests
take months.
from local residents, right? I mean, nobody's gonna be too thrilled about having it.
probably not. The only people thrilled about having it is the village.
If you were to have all the villages and the supervisors of the town say, who would want that in their municipality? There'd be one person putting his hand up. And that'd be the mayor of Delhi.
Right.
Possibly George.
Yeah, maybe.
He would have a tough time, selling it to get to Route 10. That's
Yeah,
his
I
big
know, but
thing.
he still will not have it.
Yeah,
But
this
they're
is
saying
true.
the current site's too small, but they're not taking into consideration it's got village water and sewer, which makes a huge difference in the amount of land it needs, so.
And the fact they probably don't really need an 80,000 thousand square foot building.
And your stormwater plan's